This is the Purple Passion Project with host and clinical sexologist, Dr. Stacy Friedman. This is your go-to podcast for raw, real, and irresistibly juicy conversations about sex, intimacy, connection, and everything in between. Whether you're feeling a little stuck in your love life, curious about what turns you on, or just craving conversations that actually matter, you're in the right place. So now, please welcome the host of the Purple Passion Project, Dr. Stacy Friedman.
What do you get when you mix purple, passion, and permission to be your true self? This podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Stacy, and this is the Purple Passion Project, coming to you live and unfiltered. It's the show where we talk sex, intimacy, connection, and everything underneath the surface, because let's be honest, small talk is boring and you're ready for the good stuff. So relax, drop your guard, get ready for some truth, laughs, maybe a few gasps, and a whole lot of passion. So today we are diving into the world of men, masculinity, intimacy with Jason Lang. He's a men's embodiment coach, group facilitator, and certified No More Mr. Nice Guy coach who's helped men wake up to deeper clarity in their purpose and relationships. So for over 20 years, Jason's been committed to men's work, discovering firsthand how men's groups transform not only individual lives, but also intimate partnerships, families, and communities. So let's introduce Jason to the stage. How are you?
Hey, so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's great. I'm looking forward to it because I know how important sometimes these groups have been. I've done some men's groups as well, and being able to have a community of people to talk about things that may not be as in the society as, okay, is nice that you're able to do things like that. So
yeah,
appreciate
I love it.
that.
I'm super passionate about it.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. So we'll just get right into it. And I wanted to talk to you. You had said that you've done work for about 20 years, working with men. And so what was that point when you realized that this changes everything? This is something that you wanted to do. Where was that shift and how did you get into it all?
Yeah, really, I think like a lot of coaches, it started with my own journey. So I got into men's work and somatic work and healing and transformation in my 20s. I was a guy who was raised in a household where there was a lot of emotional and physical neglect, just in the sense of no real connectivity. Like everyone was just kind of in the same house,
Existing.
my needs were taken care of, but there was no touch, there was no emotional connection. And when you're a kid, you don't necessarily know there's anything wrong with that, and then come out into the world and adolescence and teenage years and realize, oh, hey, like my experience was different. And it really started to show up for me when it came to dating and relationships. And in my case, I'm heterosexual, so as I became attracted to women, and my body would freeze up, I'd get really uncomfortable and sweaty. I didn't know how to talk to them. I'd get really angsty in my head. And I saw friends creating relationships and experiences as I got older, and I would just get really stuck and actually quite uncomfortable when I got close to women. And it was so painful. It kind of kicked off a journey of, okay, there's got to be a different way to do this, because it doesn't seem like it's that hard for other people. So what's going on?
Right. Like, what's wrong with me?
Lo and behold, that just, took me on a journey inside to learn more about my family system and histories. And it was really through that searching, I came across men's work and men's groups and started to have an experience of, oh yeah, okay. I also never really had a strong masculine presence in my life. My dad was just working all the time. Right. He was doing the best he could for the family, but there was a lot of guidance I didn't get and a lot of discomfort of just being in my body. So that kind of kickstarted me just hungry for change and transformation, and got around some men that guided me, started getting more in touch with my body in this work, and then finally started to have some success and experiences with women in my mid to late 20s. And then I just kind of stayed with it, because it was, out of all the things I tried, the thing that was really changing me the most, with regularity and not just relationships, but then career and health,
Right.
like
Well, it
all
affects
started to
everything.
transform. Yeah. And at some point, I honestly just talked about it so much. I just talked about my men's group so much. Guys started asking me, like, oh, hey, can I come? Can I join? And the group I was in at the time was when I was living in Los Angeles. And we just met in the office of one of our guys who was a therapist. So we could only fit 8 people. So
Right.
there was just no more room. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll start leading stuff out of my living room. And I started doing drop-in meetings just basically every other Monday night for a number of years in LA, posted them on Meetup, and started to have such a rewarding experience of creating these spaces for men. I was like, well, I like this. I want to get some more training and do this more. And it's kind of just taken off from there.
That's so cool. And it's so needed. I had a client that with her and her husband, they were together for like 10 years. And I remember she came into the office with him and she said something about the way he was sexually or intimately. And she literally said in the office, she's like, just be a man already. And I looked at her and I was like, no, 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 we don't say these things because, what does that even mean? And it was
Mm-hmm.
in a context of kind of putting the person down. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
heard that term a lot, or grow some balls or something like that,
Yeah.
and I think that men's work is so important right now more than ever because these things are said all the time and we need to normalize that it's okay for men to have emotions and be intimate and
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable. And so why do you think that there's this shift or that it's so important right now?
Yeah, well, I think if we kind of look at the trajectory of maybe take a zoom out here, right? There's plenty of historical context and evidence in the modern day of what happens when men are disconnected from their hearts in terms of the damage they can cause in
Right.
relationship to kids, to the environment, and whatnot. And many men I work with, like you said, I particularly work with a lot of so-called nice guys, which um, my buddy Dr. Glover, who wrote the book sells more copies every year than when he published it, right? So
Right.
it's just growing in a sense. But the trajectory I kind of see is a lot of men were raised either by volatile men who were
Right.
dangerous and not safe to be around, or who didn't have control over their addictions or sexual compulsions or whatever, or just didn't have access to their emotions, or they were bullied by other men who were like that, or they just, particularly I think in younger generations, even younger than me, they were raised in a context of Me Too, that really every day there was like another news cycle about, oh my God, here's another horrible man who did this horrible thing and
Right.
harmed all these people. And so it's created a desire, like literally, this is something guys say to me is, I don't want to be that guy.
Okay.
I'm afraid of being that guy that is seen as being a misogynist,
Yeah.
objectifying women, just using them for sex. And the trouble it's created then is there's a little bit of baby in the bathwater. So then they totally disconnect
Right.
from, I don't want to be too forward, direct. I never want to make a woman feel uncomfortable or unsafe. And so the impulse is great. The impulse is one of care. But the result is, for not all women, but for a lot of women, particularly that end up with these kind of guys I work with, and I include myself as one of these kind of guys, what they're missing is a man who's comfortable in his own skin and kind of goes for what he wants, including sexually, like leading in
Right.
the bedroom in terms of, okay, I'm just going to direct the experience. A lot of guys, nice guys I kind of work with, are so concerned with
Doing
not
something
making her
wrong.
uncomfortable, doing
Right.
it wrong, or not giving her a good experience, that it's they're timid, right?
Yeah.
Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And basically the essence of it often is they're so up in our, sometimes as men we can get so up in our heads wanting to do it the right way, create safety. When we're up in our heads constantly asking, is this okay? Guess what that does to our partner? It brings them
And
up
there.
into their heads.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Right.
Right.
So they're not in their body. They can't relax. They can't enjoy it. We're
Right.
not relaxed. We're not enjoying it. And it has all kinds of downstream effects then too, right? Of ED and performance
Yeah.
anxiety and all this stuff that often hits these men. So, the work for not all men, but a lot of men that are, at least interested in podcasts and transformation and all the things that, probably magnetize men to you and me, is to realize that it's not either or. You don't either just have to have a sweet, safe, sensitive heart or just be kind of a raging, crazy man. We can have
Right.
heart and we can have balls.
Right.
And a lot of women are longing to feel both. A man who, not just because he's the man, he has to do it all the time, like my way, the highway dominating, but that he has the capacity to take the
Right.
lead. Right?
Right.
To say, hey, I want to create this experience for you. Here we go. And he just goes for it. Right. And then, our partners can kind of relax because there's just been so much change as well in relationships in this sense, where all the old paradigms that, a lot of previous generations rolled with, they don't work anymore. Right. It used to be, okay, I'm the man, I provision financially. You're the woman, you raise the kids. I kind of bring money, you kind of give me sex. Like that was the deal for a long
Right.
time,
Long time.
right? And that changed because now, like, thankfully, women have their own lives and agency and can go out and create careers and have passions. And
A lot
for
more
a lot of guys I
independent.
work with, a lot of them even make more money than the men they're
Right.
dating now, which creates all kinds of issues if you don't know how to work with it as a man. And so they can take the lead, right? Women can take the lead just like men, but like my wife, very powerful leader, runs her own business and whatnot. So she doesn't always want to. Sometimes it's the end of the day. She's like, the last
Well,
thing I want to do is direct you. Can you just
just do
give
it.
me? Yeah. Can you just do it? Can you
Right.
just guide me through an experience? Right. And I think that's the impulse maybe behind that. Can't you just, be a man or go for it, is sometimes a longing to just like, hey, I've chosen you as a partner. I want you. I
I
like you.
trust you.
Like, I trust
Right.
you. Yeah.
Right.
Let me just go for it, kind
Right.
of lead the way a little bit. But there's just so much behind that gets a lot of guys, stuck up in their bodies and
Yeah.
in their heads and not taking confident action, you could say.
It's true, and it definitely does kill a lot of the vibe many times when they're tossed between, like you said, that me too versus trying to be too nice. Because I
Yeah.
work with clients all the time that are like, well, I just don't, this is my wife. I don't want to treat her like a slut or, like that. I'm
Mhm.
like, but she's telling you she wants to be handcuffed. She's telling you she wants you to throw her down on the bed. She's
Mhm.
telling you she feels safe for you to do that. But the messages that
Yeah.
they're getting is difficult to kind of navigate. So,
Yeah. And at the root of it, uh, which I imagine you've come across, is kind of related to some of this messaging and languaging. And
right,
it could be from culture, it could be from religion, it could just be from specific families. Is a lot of the like so-called nice guys like me,
right,
and the guys I work with, underneath it, there's just shame around their
yeah,
sexuality. That, oh, it's
yeah,
bad that I get turned on. It's bad that I want this. It's bad that I get horny, because they've received these messages so deep that
yeah,
there's this sense of, oh, the part of me that, desires sexually, that's bad. So if I feel shame around that, right. It's really hard to just bring that forward, and unwinding that is some of the deepest work I do for guys, where it's like, it's not that your sexuality is bad, right? It's what you do with it. Right.
right,
So I've never met, a human being personally who was in an intimate relationship that didn't want to know their partner is wildly turned on by them. Right. Like we
right,
all kind of want that. But nice guys sometimes forget that, oh no, she wants to feel my desire, my turn on for her. And when I'm not comfortable with that, I'm actually kind of taking that experience from her. And then
right.
she has to be left in her head, is like, does he even like me? Does he want me? What's going on here? And it creates a lot of pain.
Right. And it's very similar sometimes for women too, because for so many years when you're younger, you get slut shamed when you actually show it because
Yeah.
women are not supposed to be horny. Men are supposed to be horny, and it's like the complete opposite, but the exact same results. And so we have to be able to stop the shame and allow people to be who we are. And so, obviously you said you see that a lot, as do I. What are some things that you do to help them let go of some of that shame, because it can completely ruin a sexual experience?
Yeah, a lot of it, again, most of the work I do is in groups, and so part of it's actually just joining. Kind
Joining a
of what
group.
I imagine you create a sex positive culture that it's
Right.
like, hey, actually, in the work I do, the things I lead, like we think sex is awesome, and that everybody deserves to have a very
Yeah.
enjoyable, pleasurable sex life, and that honestly, the better sex people are having, the better everything goes in life, right?
Yeah.
As parents, the more connected we are sexually, the better our relationship is, which flows into our kids. And like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And we're just not really taught a lot of this as well, right? Which is where I think shows like yours have to kind of fill the educational gaps of, for a lot of kids, it's either porn or PE, or the health class, right? In school, which is like the basic minimum, but doesn't actually talk about what pleasure is, what safety is, how
No, it's like, don't get pregnant, don't get disease. Boom.
yeah, good
That's
luck.
it.
And,
Right.
and,
Have
and then
fun.
we're like, the guys are so terrified or mostly raised and educated by porn videos, which
Yeah.
creates such a distorted view of
Yeah.
what intimacy is, right? And not only does it impact women in terms of the expectations of what bodies are supposed to look at, but I mean, I've been shocked how much it actually impacts men too. Because
Oh,
again, going
absolutely.
back to the shame, so many guys I work with, they have this story because they watch porn that I should be able to get hard on demand
I
as
should be
long as
10
I want,
inches.
instantaneously, right? That just no matter what, I should be able to turn it on and go as long as I want.
Yeah.
And like a jackhammer at that. Like that's what
Right.
women want, right? And it creates such a challenging
Right.
framework, right, for them to then come into, which is like, no, none of that's true. And
Right.
one of the things you and I first talked about that I think is starting to get more attention is, you know, most guys I work with know that, yeah, for most women, safety is a big part of their turn on. If they're
Yeah.
not feeling safe, it's hard to relax
Absolutely.
into your body and get turned on. But the same is actually true for men, and more men than a lot of people realize, that if we're not feeling emotionally safe or we're too worried about performance or judgment, it's hard for us as
Yeah.
well. And when guys start to understand that, something does relax where it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes
Well,
you
you
can't
got
get an
to
erection
normalize it.
because you don't feel safe, right?
Right.
That's it.
No,
There's not
it's
enough
important.
connection.
Absolutely. It's important to normalize that, because erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, all these things, you know, come into it all. And like you said, especially with like porn and things like that, they're worried, well, I'm only 6 inches versus 10. I'm not going to be
Yes.
good enough. I'm like, that's bigger than average. Okay. You're doing just fine. And for
Yeah.
most women, it's not even about the size. It's about what you're doing to please your partner and how you're paying attention to their body. And so if we can
Yeah.
help get men out of their heads and the reality of what it means to be connected, what it means to be intimate, we can get rid of some of that performance anxiety and erectile dysfunction. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, they're carrying it around all the time when they're in relationships. And I see people, especially getting like divorced and going into dating, and they're like, well, I'm afraid that, if I meet someone, I've only been with one person for 20 years. What is she going to think if I can't get it up? Have a
Yeah.
conversation. Tell her that you're a little nervous. Hopefully, if she doesn't understand, go to somebody else that will,
Exactly.
you know?
Right. Totally. If you can't have the conversations, that's probably not the partner you want to be intimate with, because you want to, create a culture of safety where we can talk about it. And this is one of those, right? One of those simple things that most of us just are not trained how to talk about sex. Hey,
Right.
what feels good? What went well? What are you scared about? Like, to kind of debrief that. And that's one area where I found men can really come forward, is being the ones to create the space to have these conversations. Because a lot
Right.
of times a lot of that emotional labor falls on the woman, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, if I have ED or performance, for a lot of guys, if we haven't been in these kind of environments, we collapse in shame, right? We go silent, we go away, we just, and then the intimacy's over. And so, teaching men that it's okay. It's okay. This happens to everyone sometimes, and it's okay to talk about it. And you don't have to, I think there's this unrealistic expectation men carry that they should just magically know how to pleasure their partner.
Right.
Like,
And
and if
women
you
feel that
don't,
expectation also. Women's like, well, he knows me, he should know. I'm like, no one should just know what you want or need.
exactly.
That's what
Yeah,
talking is for.
precisely. There's like a learning and teaching each other, and to some
Right.
extent of, yeah, here's what works for me and my body, because my body's totally different than someone else's body, right?
It
And
changes.
and it changes day to day too, right? Just because you did this yesterday and it worked doesn't mean that's where my body is today, right? I think
Yeah.
a lot of guys have to get used to as well. Wait, you mean I can't just follow the exact same script every time? No, right? That's where the more we're in our bodies, the more we can feel our partner's bodies and intuit,
Absolutely.
where is she opening, where is she closing. But if we're not in our bodies, we lose all of that information. And again, then we'll get more up in our heads and we'll be thinking about it, and we lose out on quite a bit. So it's learning to communicate, to even pause, to take time, to check in. It's some simple skill building in some sense, that as men learn it, not only do they feel more safe, but their partners feel more safe, and it just kind of gets more fun, because then it's
Right.
like an exploration that never ends versus, oh my God, a thing I have to do right, otherwise XYZ.
Absolutely. In my book that I have a chapter specifically on exploration and how important it is. And you can get a free copy if anyone hears this on my website, Dr. Stacy Friedman. There's a free PDF. But on the exploration, it's exactly what you mentioned, is that for so many men, if they do have any type of erectile issues, I always recommend to just take sex off the table for that night, explore the body. How many times have you been in bed with a person and have never kissed their ankle or have never kissed their knee? And people look at me like, oh gosh, I've been with them for 20 years. I've never done that. Explore the body from head to toe without that pressure and take that off. So that way the person has that safe space, like you're mentioning. It's so important to
Yeah.
just have exploration.
And it ties right into, one of those really interesting things that most guys don't realize, right? That in terms of our arousal system, right, we call it an erection, and in some sense it's a activated state, but it requires us to be in a parasympathetic relaxed
Right,
state
right,
so our blood vessels can open,
right,
right? So if we're not relaxed, our blood vessels in our penis can't open and the erection doesn't happen. So when we talk about safety, relaxation, no pressure, those things matter both in the bedroom. And then for a lot of guys, the edge too is, hey, it also starts outside the bedroom.
yeah,
If you're walking around so stressed out and exhausted that you're carrying all of this tension in your body, even if you have a totally relaxed, open, communicative partner, you may still have challenges sometimes. And
right.
that's when it gets into like, how are you sleeping? How are you eating? What are your boundaries at work? These are like big things that sometimes guys
Absolutely.
are like, wait, what? That impacts this? It's like, yes, if you're holding all that stress, your body can't relax. So there's things to do inside the bedroom and outside the bedroom. And that's where, a lot of the work I do in groups in terms of getting our lives a little bit more oriented and regulated really helps, really helps in the
Absolutely. Yeah.
bedroom too.
It's a balance of everything, and that's why meditation can be so important,
Yeah.
for women to be able to open up, for men to be able to open up, because anything, like you said, through the day is going to affect you when you get into the bedroom. That's kind of where it all should just be released and let go. Excuse me. And many times when people will say that they have issues with performance anxiety or erection issues, they get frustrated, they feel shame, and then they stop. And I was like,
Yeah.
don't stop, because if you get, oh God, I can't get it up, I'm done, and then you walk away, then you're taking the entire moment of having sex into that one little thing of an erection.
Yep.
And so it's so important to be able to stop at that moment, take a breather, kiss, touch, hold, caress, whatever it is, because, and this is for women, to say it is okay to the men when this happens. Don't shame them. Don't say, oh God, why is this happening again? Make them feel safe, because otherwise it is going to happen again if they don't have that safe space. So
I think that's such a beautiful illustration of, I've kind of heard it from both sides that sometimes for women that the fear is, oh, is it because he's not attracted to me?
true.
And just to know that sometimes it has nothing to
Right.
do, like, oh, I'm so turned on by you, but there's all this other stuff. It's actually
It could have
about
been something
me.
at work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's key on that side. But then what you said about the men, I mean, this is one of the main things I teach guys around the shame part is it's rarely the ED that ends the evening. It's when we collapse around shame,
Right.
we are no longer available for connection. And that is the thing that ends up being the biggest turnoff, right? When my partner, right, when he disappears, when he's gone, when he gets mad or withdraws or gets, whatever, that is the end, like you said. But if I don't collapse in shame, or I'm like, oh, hey, he's just not working today, but plenty of other stuff we can do, right? And we dive into exploring, like you said, the sensuality or the emotional connection or just being with each other. There's so much that can happen that can be incredibly pleasurable to both partners. And so if we don't collapse around it, what I have seen and with the guys I've worked with is partners, it's not that they don't care, but they're happy to stay connected. That's the thing that's most important, is exploring the connection with each other. And there's lots of ways to, so-called have sex that don't involve penetration. And I think that's a limitation. A lot of guys.
Oh my gosh, really? I didn't know.
Right.
People need to know.
That we hold that, oh my God, it's got to look this way that I saw in the porn videos. And if I can't do that, I'm not a man and she's going to leave me,
open your mind.
like me. Yep. But there's so much else you can explore as a man. And that oftentimes, right, once you let go of the outcome and just reassert and focus on the connection, sometimes things do start to work again, because then you relax. And if they don't, it's okay. There's always next time.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will continue on with Jason when we get back.
If you enjoy these podcasts with Dr. Stacy, imagine the results you can get from a personal coaching session. As a clinical sexologist and certified sex coach with over 2 decades of experience, Dr. Stacy helps people just like you reignite passion, explore their desires, and break through blocks that may be holding you back, solo or with a partner. Whether you're struggling with communication, desire mismatch, performance anxiety, or simply want to feel more confident and connected in your sex life, Dr. Stacy is here to help. She offers a complimentary 15-minute consult so you can see if working together feels right. Visit drstacyfriedman.com to schedule your free call today, and let's take your passion to the next level.
So I wanted to talk a little bit, because you bring up the men's groups. I wanted to talk a little bit about the men's groups and things like that, because I know how important those can be. Men a lot of times struggle with being vulnerable and showing that intimate side, especially to other men. I mean, hard enough for women, but to other men. But I wanted to see, you talk about shadow work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For someone that's never heard of it, what can it actually do to make a man's life better, sex life better? And what exactly is it?
Yeah. So, I mean, shadow work can mean a lot of different things, but in essence, it's becoming aware of that which is unconscious inside of us. So what are the beliefs or behaviors or scripts we're running by that we often don't even realize we're running by? And for a lot of men in particular, what it often points to is there's some kind of emotion I'm avoiding.
Mm-hmm.
And so my body mind will construct these elaborate systems to do anything so I don't have to feel that. And shadow work is really the process of getting conscious of that so we have more choice. And again, for a lot of men, particularly as we get older, energy management becomes a big thing. I don't have enough energy for life. I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted. I feel so
I think we've all
burdened.
been there before.
Yeah, by life.
Right.
And it starts to connect to the culture most men are taught of masculinity means being invulnerable, right? That's like
Yeah.
kind of the MO out there, that
Right.
being a man means you're tough and you're not vulnerable and nothing impacts you. And that's all a lie, right? When we're avoiding feelings or we don't know how to deal with feelings, just at a physiological level, because you can, the example I often give is, imagine like a 5-year-old boy who's in some kind of distress and deeply sobbing and crying. And, dad comes up and he's like, stop crying.
Right.
How the boy does it is
Sucks it all
he'll
back
hold
in.
his breath, he'll tighten up his body, and he'll pack it in, actually
Right.
contract to kind of lock it down. And we accumulate those kind of lockdowns over life of all kinds of emotional content that we don't know what to do with as men. But guess what? That takes energy.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, hey, flex your biceps and your core right now without moving, and you just like tighten it up, it's like, okay. And if I'm like, do that for an hour, it's very tiring, very fast, takes a lot of resource. And so a lot of men are walking around spending a lot of energy
Just
containing, right? Yeah, containing. Their bodies are tight. They're clenching a lot, which again goes right then into how we show up in the bedroom. If we're tight and not relaxed in our bodies, sex doesn't go as well. Our partners aren't as relaxed in their bodies. So shadow work is really the process of starting to become aware of, what am I holding or avoiding that is taking my life force as a man? And a lot of times for some guys, the way they start to notice this is, there's these things I keep doing that I don't want to be doing, but yet I keep
do it
finding
anyway.
it happen over and over. I do it anyway. Why do I do that? And shadow work is the process of going in and finding often the roots of that, of what might be unfelt, what kind of traumatic experience we had, what kind of internalization from our family systems maybe we learned. And we do the deep work to bring that emotional content to the surface, because it frankly frees us. It actually frees up our life force, our vitality, our ability to be present, and our ability to actually choose what we want in the moment, rather than often running these old protective scripts that we're just not even conscious of. And so for a lot of guys, I'll have men come to me that there's things they've been holding on for decades, that they're not even aware of, or things they've been in shame on and have been afraid to talk to someone about, or fears around their sexuality, or anger, or fear, or grief, or whatever that might be.
Just even going to a therapist is a lot of shame for many.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And, as I tell a lot of guys too, if there is emotional content inside of us that we are uncomfortable with, so let's say my grief, my anger, my fear, kind of the big three. If I am uncomfortable with that, I am going to be deeply uncomfortable being in the presence of anyone else who's feeling that, because as they feel it, it's going to resonate with that in me, and it'll make me uncomfortable. So
Right.
you
And you don't want to be uncomfortable.
As a man, if you want to get better at being fully present for your intimate partner, and so she feels safe in being in her grief or her anger or her fear, guess what? You got to do your work as a man to get comfortable with it inside of you. And a lot of men who aren't, guess what? Their partner starts to get a little dysregulated, or is mad at them, or shares something. What do we want to do as men? We want to immediately get that feeling out of her and fix it.
Fix it.
Oh, you don't understand. It should be this. Could you try this? And what that tends to drive our partners crazy.
Right.
Like, can't you just
listen?
all I want you to do
Don't fix
really is
it.
listen. I'm a grown person. I can handle myself. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to be present with me in it.
Yeah.
If we aren't comfortable being present with that in ourselves, we're going to try to get away from it in you as well. So there's huge payoff to doing this kind of somatic shadow work, particularly in the context of with other men, because what I've seen is, as men witness other men stepping into it, it starts to rewrite that story around shame or what it's supposed to be, and gives men an opening of, oh, rather than holding this all the time, or for some men too, dumping all of it on my intimate partner because I don't have any male friends. I don't have
Right.
anyone else I feel comfortable sharing. I'm really scared at work. They might lay me off. And so then my intimate partner's like having to hold that fear for me because I have nowhere
Right.
else to put it. And then I get mad at her because later that night I'm like, you never want to have sex with me. And I'm just stuck in this fear. And you're right. It creates all kinds of messes. But as we
Yeah.
learn to bring that more and more to men, it frees up what our partnership can be. It frees up the energy inside of us, and it makes us feel more comfortable in our own skin and less afraid of whatever emotional content might be underneath. Because once
Right.
we learn not to fear emotions, then we can lead. We can really lead ourselves in life, and we can really lead our partners as well. We're like, hey, it seems like you might be a little mad at me. Like, what's going on? Right. And we just dig in. We go right towards it
Right.
rather
Being able to
than
have that conversation.
tiptoeing like so many of us guys do, which then, like we said, rolls right into impacting our sex and our intimacy as well.
Well, I feel that the men's group, I'm sure, is very, very helpful with connecting, because even just in not even sexual relationships, but personal friendships, a lot of men may feel shame or embarrassment or difficulty even just expressing to some of their friends, because their friends might be like, what's wrong with you? Are you this? Are you that? Or, why are you acting so weird sharing your feelings? And so I'm assuming that, because since I'm not in a men's group, but you worked them before, that
Yeah.
you believe everybody should be every man should be in a men's group. I
Yes.
feel that they can get that support. So give us a little example as to how your men's group works and how it could be so helpful for other men, because I think it's extremely important for men.
Yeah. The idea is, and this is kind of the crux of a lot of the challenge for a lot of nice guys and a lot of men, is we're raised in this culture of mostly seeing other men as a threat and
Right.
competition and not safe to be vulnerable, right? So we got to put on this tough face and hold it all together. And that stress has to go somewhere. So if we're holding it and we don't know how to move it, what do most men do to deal with their tension and stress? We turn to things outside of ourselves to try to change how we're feeling inside. Alcohol, weed, porn and masturbation,
Violence,
overworking.
sex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, right? And that stuff never really regulates us in the way we think. It might be temporary relief, but it doesn't deal with the thing underneath. So a good men's group, what it's doing is it's creating a space for us to get some of our connection needs met by other men. It sounds so simple, but could be touch, could be emotional, could just be deep presence of sharing what's going on in our lives. And the experience of another man receiving that is often just revolutionary to a guy, where it's like, wait, it's not too much for you? And they're like, no, it's okay. You're pissed off. Like, bring it. Like, get angry. Like, it's
Right.
okay. And suddenly the charge that we've been carrying through our lives has somewhere to move, has somewhere to go.
They could
And
breathe better.
we can literally relax more, breathe more. We do some of this deep shadow work or release work that, like, men's bodies change, right? Our eyes soften, our faces soften, color comes back, our diaphragm expands, our voice gets deeper. We're more in our bodies because we're not resisting all the feeling. And then a good group helps us get clear about what we're wanting in life, where we're feeling stuck in life, what the direction to get there is, and support us along the way, and can help us track the most important things in our lives over time, including intimate relationships. And what I've seen, particularly for nice guys, is for a lot of them, like I said, they're so afraid of being alone.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a lot of connection in their lives, they will get into intimate relationships that are quite unhealthy, right?
Just to have something.
Just because they're so afraid. So it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
if it's either this or nothing. So, even if she treats me poorly, even if we're constantly fighting, whatever, like, this is better than loneliness, right?
Right.
And again, a men's group starts to resource us of like, oh, hey, well, what if I felt connected even before I was in an intimate relationship. And it tends to create a little bit more discernment of, okay, yeah, it's not working with this partner. I'm going to end things. And I'm not going to be alone because now I have this tribe around me.
It gives you more
people
confidence.
that care about me. Yeah, it gives us a lot more confidence. It helps us emotionally regulate. It helps us get more present. It also helps us, what I've seen in a big part of men's group is it's kind of the dojo or the practice ground for a lot of these skills. So sometimes it can be really hard if we don't have experience being emotionally vulnerable, right? To go right to our partner and be like, oh my God, I'm scared about this thing, or I'm mad about this thing. And there can be this baby step first of coming to our group who it doesn't have the same risk factor as it does, let's say, with our intimate partner. We're like, hey, I'm having this struggle. I gotta do this. I have to set this boundary with my wife and I don't know how. Well, let's practice. Like literally, let's practice the words. What are you going to say to her? And then we get to help the men dial it in and of like, that was still a little bit wet noodle. Like she's not going to trust that at all versus, okay, that was a little too much heat. Right. I couldn't feel your heart in that. You just felt closed and kind of. So how do we help you dial in of like, hey, it's not okay with me when you do this. And I really want to feel closer to you, or, whatever. I'm just making stuff up.
No, but the practice is important to give them the confidence.
Can find it. Exactly. We find it in our nervous system. So just like you would practice a speech, we have a place of, oh, I know what it feels like now to have my heart open and be direct. Right.
Yeah.
And that skill building and capacity is so, so useful. And then also, like I said, a lot of guys listening, we tend to love metaphors and whatnot. So I always use when I was growing up, right, the imagery of Christmas lights. Like back in the day when I was a kid, you get a huge string of Christmas lights, you'd put them up. If one bulb went out, the whole string would go out. Right? The whole string. And then you have to like, okay, I got to go change that whole bulb or get up on the ladder or whatever. And they call that like a single series circuit. And that's what often will happen to men these days is the systems, the circuit of relationships in their lives will start to dwindle because all they do is work and put their attention on their family and maybe their intimate partner. The challenge with that then is those relationships take up more relative space in their system. So if my wife and I are having a hard time, and that's really my primary relationship, my life is not going well, right? Because that takes up so much space. Right. But as we plug into a men's group and expand the system, right, of relationships in our life, we kind of turn to that more parallel circuit of, oh, if this connection isn't working right now, the whole string of lights doesn't go down. I have connection here and I have connection here. And I have these men that can hold me and support me so that I get regulated, which then helps me show back up to my relationship and regulated. And instead of needing my partner, right, one of the challenges of modern relationships is we put so much expectation on. Yeah. Can you be my best friend? Can you be my passionate, epic sex lover? Can you be my co-parent? Can you be,
what's wrong with all of that?
My therapist. And, a good relationship has a little bit of each, but it puts a lot of pressure on our partners. Yeah. And when we can just start to offload that, it really changes things because it's like, oh, actually, if you're having a bad day, that's okay. You can have a bad day. I can have a bad day. We both have resources around us. In my sense, it's the men's group that helps me get regulated and offers me some of the things that guys just love to offer that maybe don't feel as natural for you, or that they just understand, the burdens and pressures of being a man, so to speak, in a way that sometimes our partners don't. So I've just seen it change so many guys' lives because essentially what happens, another way to put it is they just become more connected to themselves, their bodies, their emotions, which means we can get more connected to our intimate partners, to our kids, to our families, and
to life in
general.
Quality
of life goes way up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Great. I never thought of it as deep as you have, but I really love the whole idea of just having that space as another area versus your partner, because women more so will go out with their friends more. They go out on their, little movie dates, shopping dates, lunch dates. And a lot of times the men don't do that. And so having that group
Exactly.
is really important. I
Or
love
if we
that.
do go out, we do the default male thing, which is
Going
we
out
stand
drinking and
side by side and right? Most men relate through triangulation. Me and you have our attention on a third thing, and we
right.
bond watching the game,
Watching,
fixing the
yes,
thing,
yes.
drinking. But then, this is a real thing. I work with guys around. They just spent, the whole weekend with their buddies, so to speak, but their buddies don't even know their marriage is about to end because we just I don't know where do I talk? We don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So you can be around men, but still be quite alone in a sense. And what men's group teaches is, hey, put your attention on each other so you can talk about some of the
get to know each
stresses
other,
in your life and go under the surface and realize, hey, you're actually not so special. All the guys are struggling with this kind of stuff, right? And it's totally normal. And that in itself becomes so medicinal for men, where it's like, oh, wait, I'm not uniquely broken and a failure.
Right.
Turns out we all struggle as men, and there's things we're growing and ways we are stretching ourselves and having to practice. And a men's group really kind of does that in a powerful way, where it gives men this space that, I think a lot of women just more naturally do. They're just in flow of connection. Hey, I'm having a really bad day. Okay, great. Tell me about it. And, there's a certain type for both men and women of, as they say in the healing work, like when you speak it, it gets lighter. It just, you start to speak it. It starts to move the energy, that charge, that tension starts to have somewhere to go. And a lot of guys, well, I don't want to be a victim. I just want to be complaining all the time. It's not what we're talking about. In a men's group, we give you room to move it, to share, to get vulnerable about it. And it'll often be met in like, what do you want to do about that? Is there certain skills you need to build? Are there boundaries you need to set in your life? And, a good men's group over time is going to track that. So, if you come in over 6 months and all you're doing is complaining about this one thing in your relationship, you're going to get feedback around, well, what are you going to actually do to change that? Like, what needs to happen here? In that level of, Terry Real calls it carefrontation. I think a lot of men are actually longing for, right? Someone to actually step in and say, hey, you got spinach in your teeth, buddy. Like, oh, thanks. Wow. I didn't know. Like, that fight you keep having with your wife, turns out that might actually be more you. I mean, we've been listening to you for 6 months and, you keep saying it's her, but hey, here's this thing you're doing. And then a man's got to actually look at that, right? And take some responsibility. But ultimately, he gets supported in moving forward in his life.
Yeah, love it. Love it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then I want to talk a little bit about evolutionary men, and then we'll be back in just a minute.
Looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Dr. Stacy's got you covered. From luxurious lotions to silky lubes and tantalizing toys, our collection has everything you need to turn up the heat and reignite that spark. Whether you're flying solo or with a partner, our products are designed to enhance intimacy and pleasure. Use the coupon code PURPLE and get 20% off your entire order. Visit drstacyfriedman.com, click the shop link, and explore our full range of goodies that are sure to bring out the fun in the bedroom. Let's make every moment more exciting. Dr. Stacy's Tantric Toys, where pleasure meets purpose.
Okay, so we're here with Jason talking about men and men's group and emotions and all that good juicy stuff. We're just going to finish up with a couple quick questions, and I wanted to learn a little bit about evolutionary men, what your mission is, and how, what it means to you. I want to put up your website and information so people can reach you. It will also be in the show notes as well, so in case people can't actually see it. But give us a little background on evolutionary men.
Yeah, so Evolutionary Men's kind of my men's work organization. And really the mission, like you mentioned earlier, is I think every man should be in a men's group.
Right.
It just totally transforms men's lives. And the more men get supported by other men, the better their relationships go, the better their work goes, the better their fathering and parenting goes. Like, it just all gets better. And it's directly counter to this narrative and myth of the lone wolf, the tough cowboy, the do-it-all-yourself thing that so many guys are taught and kind of fall prey to in our culture that frankly is killing men. Like it's not even abstract. Suicide rates are higher for men that isolate. Men who can feel lonely and don't have friends, they die of heart disease faster. Like this stuff is real. We're not meant to hold it all inside as men. So Evolutionary Men is my organization that creates men's groups of all different kinds for guys. Can
they go online too for your men's groups?
Yeah, totally. A lot of what I do online, I mean, it's the nice thing about this moment in time is, a lot of guys who are maybe in a more rural area or somewhere where there's not men's work, you can actually hop online and get connected, and it works, right? Even just over Zoom, like it works. So I run introductory men's groups. I run men's groups around dating and relationships, men's groups around shadow work. I do live retreats, and I have a podcast where I just kind of talk about all this stuff that really kind of lays the path forward for men that, even if you don't buy the, emotional health stuff, it's just when guys start doing this work, I've seen it myself, they make more money, their sex gets better, their relationships get better, their health gets better. Like it's very tangible outcomes when we get connected to other men who can support us when we're down. And frankly, yes, hold us accountable and challenge us when there's something important in our lives we want to move forward.
Perfectly stated. Lastly, if somebody is out there listening, besides joining a men's group, if they're feeling stuck, ashamed, and want to make a change, what can they do to start shifting that mindset? Maybe it is just go to a men's group. What do you think?
I'd say get connected to other men, for one, like you just said, and just it's the biggest shift men can make is start to turn towards your emotions. We will spend our entire lives avoiding them. And the biggest life hack I found is just go right towards it. You just go right towards it.
Look it in the eye. Keep going.
And metabolizes so much faster, and we take more action. And it's not nearly as scary as we think. And for men that feel, really stuck, that one of the things I like to say is it's, there's nothing wrong. You're not broken.
Right.
Often we're just disconnected and haven't been given the training for how to be present with ourselves emotionally. And a little bit, turns out, goes a long way, and we get more comfortable in our bodies. We become more relaxed. We trust ourselves more. And yes, right to bring it back, like we become much more vital, connected sexual partners as well. It just gets more fun.
Just improves everything. Everything.
Exactly.
Very awesome. Awesome. Jason, thank you so much for being here and giving us a real look into what men are craving, basically what they're struggling with, how they can break free of shame to be able to create that deeper intimacy that we all want to have in our relationships. So I appreciate you being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. And so that is it for today's episode of the Purple Passion Project, where we keep it real with just the right amount of spice. If today stirred something in you, let it. And if you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. On my YouTube at Dr. Stacey Friedman, check out Jason Lang as well. And if you're ready to go deeper, follow me all over social media at Dr. Stacey Friedman for resources, tips, a place to find adult products, or even just personal support. So until next time, stay curious, stay turned on, and never apologize for wanting more. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Purple Passion Project with host Dr. Stacey Friedman. Tune in each week as Dr. Stacey breaks down walls, busting myths, and gives you permission to want more with no shame, no filters, and definitely no small talk. Check in every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on your favorite streaming platforms. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure to visit drstaceyfriedman.com to learn more.